It is undeniable that anime adaptations can have some huge advantages over their source material, from fights looking better, most of the time, to being able to better appreciate ecchi, to actually being able to hear the music. What is often forgotten is anime also presents an opportunity to improve the storytelling. I know some people believe the source material is a holy grail whose story should never be deviated from. But they're wrong. Here's how Kyoto Animation took the already great light novel that is Violet Evergarden and polished it into a gem of an anime. At first glance, it would seem fairly obvious how to adapt Violet Evergarden. There were 13 chapters in the light novel and 13 episodes in the anime. Just take each chapter and convert it into an episode. Easy peasy, right? Well, Kyoto Ani took some more drastic steps. Here's the order in the light novel. For the anime, they cut out these 4 chapters, moved chapter 8 to the first episode, added 4 anime original stories for episodes 2 to 5, and shuffled the order of most every other chapter. So, that was a lot of effort. How did it help? Well, first it gave us a better introduction to Violet. You see, in the light novels we start out with Violet being practically perfect in every way. She's already a highly accomplished and sought-after auto-memory doll, and in the first couple of chapters, she tends to play a background role to the people she's helping. It's not really until chapter 8, 2/3 of the way through the story, that we have enough background to know what makes her tick. By moving most of the contents of chapter 8 to the first episode, Kyoto Animation allows the viewer to understand who Violet is right away. Then, adding in the 4 anime original stories about Violet's early work as an auto-memory doll right after allows us to see Violet develop and grow. This makes the story feel more connected. Instead of just being a series of beautiful short stories that happen to have Violet in them, we have an overarching plot about the development of Violet, told through a series of short stories. Violet is a wonderfully crafted character, and allowing the viewers to understand that early and empathize with her gives the anime much more of a pull than the light novels have at the beginning. This restructuring also gives later scenes more emotional weight. The most prominent example being the scene where Violet is told Gilbert is dead. In the light novel, Violet's rehab after the war and her discovery of Gil's death all happen in one chapter. And don't get me wrong, it's a good chapter. The anime though, by taking its time to build up to that scene, by showing Violet recover and grow as a person, by showing her learn about emotion and love, and then hitting her with the news of Gilbert's death, creates a scene that resonates far more strongly. The anime has taken its time to make sure we care about Violet, so when she gets hurt, we hurt too. Another example can be found by looking at the comparison of chapter 2 and 3 from the light novel and episodes 10 and 11 from the anime. They tell the stories of Violet writing letters for a dying mother to pass to her daughter and for a dying soldier to pass to his loved ones. These stories are heartrending, and the anime changes very little in the telling. The differences come at the end. The anime adds scenes where we get to see Violet's reaction to the loss felt by the girl, the loss felt by the parents and the lover. This makes for incredibly powerful scenes, showing how far Violet has come, and are scenes that wouldn't have been possible without all the extra building of Violet's character. Now, aside from those major structural changes, there are also some more subtle ones that I feel make even more of a difference, namely dealing with the statement that had a huge impact on Violet. I love you. In the light novel, the I love you statement is discussed 3 times, when Gilbert says it, when Violet is in rehab, and then not again until the last chapter of the story. In the anime though, this forms the core theme of Violet's development, as she gradually comes to understand what it means, as she comes to understand love and loss. Instead of only using Gilbert's I love you at key points in the narrative as the light novel does, throughout the anime, Violet's journey to understand what I love you means is very explicitly laid out. It forms the connecting thread between all the stories, making the narrative feel cohesive and whole. In the light novel, Violet tells us, I have become able to somewhat feel. With this new life which Major granted me, sadness and joy, pride, fear, everything. Through writing on others' behalf and through the people I meet, I can feel them. I understand I love you. The anime though, shows us that. And the showing has far more effect. The anime also gives far more weight to another statement. Hodgins telling Violet her body is burning. The burning comment is only really dealt with once in the light novel, and we never see Violet fully come to understand it. The anime, though, comes back to that statement later, showing Violet coming to realize what it meant. The weight of the crime she's committed, the weight of her loss. This moment of realization is just as much the accumulation of her development as a character as realizing the meaning of the words "I love you," and it makes her unwillingness to kill on the train in the final arc all the more meaningful. Finally, there's one other major change Kyoto Annie made to Violet Evergarden that I have to talk about, and that was removing Violet's battle axe. How could you remove such a badass, massive freaking battle axe from the story, Kyoto Annie? No more seriously though, let's talk about Gilbert's supposed death. You see, in the light novels, in the same chapter that Violet's told Gilbert is dead, it is made abundantly clear to the readers that he is in fact not dead. Rather, he's just getting Hodgins to lie and is hiding from Violet to make sure she cuts ties with the military. This version of events has some problems with it. A, it takes away from the sorrow we were just sharing with Violet, and B, it's just a stupid way to keep Violet out of the military. He could have literally just ordered Violet to leave the military and work for Hodgins, while he comes to visit her when he gets time off work. There's no need to put her through all the psychological torment of thinking that she's lost the most important person in her life forever. That's just cruel. The anime version of just having him be presumed dead by everyone is simpler and makes more sense. Also, while Gilbert actually appears in front of Violet at the end of the story in the light novel and is only hinted at appearing in the anime's ending still makes much more of an impact. Why? Because the fact that he might be alive is a surprise to the audience too. I mean, to be frank, I would have loved Violet to end up being reunited with Gilbert in the anime in the same way she was in the light novel. The conversation they have when they're reunited turns my heart to mush. But because we can see it coming, it doesn't generate quite the same swing in emotions. In conclusion, I think the Violet Evergarden anime provides the perfect example of how to adapt a light novel. It stays true to the spirit of the original story, while not being afraid to recognize some of its flaws and fix them. It takes the themes that the light novel hints at and fleshes them out. It takes Violet Evergarden from being a series of disconnected stories and gives it a common thread that runs throughout. I'd love to see more light novel adaptations follow suit and not be afraid to take some liberties to improve the source material. Anyways, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers!